Killer tunes, dude. I love the flat spin. That really shredded, man.
Thanks, man.
And what the other one? Wrong Turn.
Wrong Turn.
Any stories behind that?
This is kind of a. I kind of started to develop this new sound in recent months. I do more of the sequence drums and the real drummer playing with it because I've been listening to more, the Prodigy and stuff like that. I'm really getting into that. That's some pretty cool stuff. So it's kind of got that kind of backbeat, and it's got big riff and some pretty at least interesting vocal melodies. So
right.
Pretty cool track. I like it.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to experiment with different things. You see what you get out of it.
Yeah.
We were talking last night in the chat room when you were in about digital distribution as opposed to physical CDs and everything. What is your opinion on that? How are you looking to stay away from CDs, just go digital, or how you want to handle that?
Well, right now the one major release I have is a digital release of a kind of a 2 CD compilation of some of my instrumental stuff on iTunes. And actually, iTunes is a pretty freaking hard thing to get on because, you'd think it's not like MySpace. Every single band in the world would be on there. So it was pretty tough to get on there. There's some stuff you got to go through. Luckily, my attorney knows the guy that works at Apple, so I got on there rather easily.
Nice.
But that's a great way to distribute music because everybody has iTunes now. Nearly everyone has some sort of an MP3 player, whether it's their phone, their iPod, or their phone and their iPod. There's no way that they don't have some kind of way to take music on the go now.
Right.
And CDs, you got to think, I heard Walmart the other day, they have 2 aisles now where they sell CDs and stuff. And around here, one aisle is all Spanish music. It's all in another language. So we have an aisle and a half right here of English music, and then that's all populated by rap and top 40 and Britney Spears kind of crap. And they said they're going to cut it down to one aisle. That's 2 sides, two ways of it'll. So Walmart, they're the biggest music distributor in America.
Wow.
And all they're going to have is 2 sides of one aisle, and I already know it's going to be all top 40 and pop. So they've completely lost. Because I remember when I was a kid, I used to be able to go on Walmart and find freaking Steve Vai CDs and stuff if I looked hard enough,
Oh, yeah. Also back then, you also had Virgin Records and just record stores everywhere. The record store is almost passé now. You're hard pressed to find one.
Oh, yeah.
Much less a
CD
chain.
Warehouse closed in 2001. That was a major one, at least here. And just about 2 months ago, I think, we have a major mall here, it's the biggest mall in the state.
Yeah.
And it had a Virgin Megastore, and the Virgin Megastore just closed.
Yeah.
That's a big deal because they had, oh my gosh, they were such a big music store that they were even selling vinyl for DJs and stuff still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then you also had, Tower Records was a big one, I know, in New York City.
Sam Goody.
Yep, Sam Goody, and all the electronic stores usually. You can still go into Circuit City or Best Buy and find record aisles, or CD aisles, but it's getting smaller and smaller, and you don't see people checking the aisles out. Because why bother when you can download it and put it wherever you want? And
the major problem is, though, I think this started in probably the mid '80s. People were releasing albums, and they would have, especially I know you like hair metal, so I'm not dogging on Poison, which is not really hair metal, but they would release an album, and they would have 2, maybe 3 good songs, and the rest of it would be total garbage.
Yeah.
Absolute garbage. And then that started becoming so popular because the reason they did that is they could whip out albums faster,
Yep.
They could have 12 songs, have 3 great songs, the rest of it be total crap that they just completely just puked up, and they could sell records. They'd have to sell the whole record.
Right.
And that got worse and worse through the 90s. It got, a lot of people like Nirvana, but really, honestly, they would have 1, 2 songs, and the rest would be bad, too. They pushed that through, and then we got to the point where it's like the Backstreet Boys, where they would have 1 good song, and the rest would be absolutely unlistenable.
You're giving them that much credit, huh?
Yeah, well, not 1 good song, but at least one thing you could understand what they were saying and wasn't that homo,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at least about chicks. But anyway, so now it's gotten to the point where people are completely turned off to spend $15 to buy a CD. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're getting ripped off.
Yeah, they're getting ripped off. So because they know there's only one good song. That's why iTunes has become so popular. They can get on there. They can get a card from their grandma for $25, and instead of buying 25 records, which they used to have to do, they can buy the 25 best songs from 25 artists.
Right.
And that's why it's become this monster. And it's the second biggest music retailer now in America. iTunes is behind Walmart, and we know Walmart.
That's going to change. Well, even back in when Napster first came around, a lot of the arguments when people were trying to close, when the RIA was trying to close down Napster and whatnot, was like, well, do something about the music then.
Yeah.
If you want us to pay for a whole album, give us a whole album's worth of music. Don't give us one song and a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
And that's why.
And then the record labels missed out, though. At least the major ones did with Napster. I mean, they were so pissed that they had these guys giving away their music for free that they completely missed the opportunity to buy this thing and to turn this thing into an iTunes with 99-cent songs.
Yeah.
Because now it's to the point where, because labels, I mean, there's no artist development. Like Bruce Springsteen released I think it was maybe even 4 records that were complete crap before he had his first big hit.
Yeah.
Before he had his first good record. I mean, it took the guy time to develop his sound and to get on the road. And they paid for this the whole time because they knew one day he'd be big,
Yep.
They have no money to do that now. And if they would have bought Napster and if they would have owned that thing, there wouldn't be like Apple, artists on iTunes get, I think, 60% of the revenue, and iTunes keeps 40. Maybe it's 70-30. I don't know. But they have to do that because they have to maintain all this stuff. But if the labels had bought it, this would be just like maintaining a distributor,
Right.
So artists would be getting more money.
Yeah, a lot of these companies, RIA, ASCAP, and just labels in general, they stayed antiquated. They refused to embrace the new technology, and they fell behind.
Well, because the labels were and still are run by almost 80-year-old men now that have no concept, that think that the record business hit its peak in the 70s, and that's the way it still is with people buying entire records.
Yeah, they don't get it. And they're hurting for it. And the music industry, it's showing because record sales are down. I don't know if they keep track of digital sales. It's kind of hard when there's so many sources.
Yeah.
And a lot of major artists are going to indie labels or starting their own labels. Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx with 11-7 Records. It's all indie.
Yeah.
We down here in Orlando, we have Silent Majority Group, Tantric, Candlebox. They're all on that indie label. You're cutting out RIA, who basically is ripping the artist off for the most part.
Yeah, completely, because they think that they can still, nobody buys complete. I mean, how many people do you know? I don't think I even know a person that's bought a CD in the last few years.
No. I've gone where I've downloaded MP3s from like Amazon, but you can pick which ones you want, So you pick the songs you like. But normally when I like a band, it's one of my bands, I get the whole album just to have the whole album.
Yeah,
but
I still
for
like
the most
buying
part,
them because I want to look at the artwork and stuff,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like to read the inside, the J card and everything.